Gentlemen, there's one spot on a woman's body that reveals everything she's really feeling. And the moment she lets you touch it, her mind and heart are already yours. And I'm not talking about some cheap pickup line or alpha male nonsense. Stick with me, because what I'm about to reveal will completely change the way you read every single female signal forever. Welcome back. I want you to slow down for a second and really take this in, because what we're talking about today isn't surface level attraction. It's not about tricks, lines, or memorized behaviors. It's about something much deeper. How a woman's body communicates what her words often can't. There's a silent language happening in every interaction you have with a woman, and most men are completely blind to it. Not because they're incapable, but because no one ever taught them how to see it. Now, let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever walked away from an interaction with a woman and thought, I think she liked me, but I'm not sure? Dedi san astin dai be. Or maybe the opposite. She was polite, but something felt off. That confusion you felt, that uncertainty, it doesn't come from a lack of effort. It comes from misreading the signals that were right in front of you the entire time. And once you start understanding this, you'll never look at attraction the same way again. Because here's the truth. Most people won't say out loud, attraction is rarely spoken clearly, but it is always expressed physically. And no, not in the obvious ways you're thinking. Not in exaggerated flirting or dramatic gestures. It's subtle. It's instinctive. It's happening beneath awareness. A woman's body is constantly responding to how she feels in your presence. And those responses are far more honest than anything she could say out loud. What we're diving into today is that hidden layer, the one that separates men who guess from men who understand. When a woman allows certain types of touch, she's not just being nice or going along with it. Her nervous system is making decisions in real time. It's asking questions like, do I feel safe with him? Do I trust him? Does his presence calm me or create tension? And the answers to those questions show up instantly through her body. This is why two men can do the exact same thing. Reach for her hand, touch her shoulder, stand close, and get completely different reactions. One feels natural, even welcome. The other feels uncomfortable, forced, or even repelling. The difference isn't the action, it's the emotional experience behind it. And that's where most men get it wrong. They focus on what to do instead of understanding what she feels. Let me give you a real-life example. Imagine you're sitting next to a woman at a bar or cafe. Conversation is flowing. Things feel light, maybe even playful. At some point, you lightly touch her arm while making a point. Now, here's where everything matters. Not the touch itself, but what happens next. Does she subtly lean in closer? Does she continue talking without breaking the flow? Does her body remain relaxed? Or does she stiffen slightly, shift her posture, or create a bit of distance? Most men miss this moment entirely. But this moment is everything, because her reaction isn't calculated. It's instinctive, and instinct doesn't lie. What's happening here is deeply rooted in psychology and biology. Human beings are wired to detect intention through touch. Studies have shown that people can identify emotions like affection, tension, dominance, or even discomfort through physical contact alone without a single word being spoken. And women in particular are exceptionally attuned to this. A woman's nervous system is constantly scanning for emotional safety. It's not something she consciously thinks about. It just happens. So when you touch her, she's not just registering the physical sensation. She's reading your energy, your confidence, your emotional state, your authenticity. If you're tense, unsure, or trying too hard, she feels that. If you're calm, grounded, and present, she feels that too. And this is why attraction isn't something you can fake. It's felt. Now, I want to take you deeper into this idea of emotional zones, because this is where things start to become very clear. Think of a woman's body not just as physical space, but as layers of trust. Each area represents a different level of emotional access. And as you move from one level to the next, what you're really doing is moving deeper into her sense of comfort, safety, and connection with you. The first level is what I call neutral territory. Arms and shoulders. This is where most interactions begin, and it's also where many men get stuck. A light touch on the arm, a casual tap on the shoulder. These are socially acceptable gestures. They don't carry much weight on their own. If she allows this, it doesn't necessarily mean she's attracted. It simply means she's comfortable enough not to pull away. But even here, there's information. Is she open in her posture or slightly closed off? Does she angle her body towards you or away from you? Does she maintain eye contact? Or does she start to disengage? These are microsignals, but they matter more than anything you could say. Because at this stage, she's not deciding if she wants you. She's deciding if she feels okay around you. And that's the foundation of everything. Now, let's move slightly deeper. Hands and wrists. This is where things start to shift. Holding hands isn't just physical contact, it's symbolic. It represents connection, presence, and a willingness to share a moment together. When a woman allows you to hold her hand, even briefly, she's giving you a certain level of access emotionally, not just physically. But the wrist, that's where it gets more interesting. The wrist is sensitive. It's vulnerable. It's not a place people casually allow others to touch, unless there's a degree of comfort already established. So, if she's relaxed when you touch her wrist, if she doesn't pull away, if she even subtly responds, that's a sign that her guard is lowering. Not completely, but noticeably. And here's where I want you to pay attention to something important. It's not about rushing from one level to the next. It's about whether she's inviting you forward. Because when it's right, it doesn't feel like progression. It feels natural. There's a flow to it, a rhythm. And when you're in sync with that rhythm, everything becomes effortless. Now, I know some of you watching might be thinking, okay, but how do I know if I'm reading this right? That's a fair question. So, let me give you a simple exercise you can start using immediately. The next time you're interacting with a woman, focus less on what you're saying and more on how she's responding physically. Not in an obsessive way, but in an aware, grounded way. Notice her breathing. Notice her posture. Notice how her body reacts when you slightly shift closer or make light contact. Does she mirror you? Does she relax? Or does she create distance? These are your answers, not her words, her body. And once you start paying attention to this, something interesting happens. You stop needing constant validation. You stop guessing. You start knowing. And that confidence, that quiet certainty, is incredibly attractive on its own. Now, we're about to go deeper into the next levels, the ones most men completely misunderstand, especially when it comes to the waist, the back, and eventually the most revealing signal of all. Because there is one area, one specific place where if she allows you in, it's no longer just comfort. It's something much more powerful. And in the next part, I'm going to break that down in a way you've probably never heard before. But before we go there, take a second. If this is already shifting how you think about attraction, hit that like button. Not just for the algorithm, but because it tells me you want more of this kind of real grounded understanding. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do that now, because what's coming next is where everything clicks. Now, let's go deeper, because this is where things start to separate surface-level interaction from real emotional movement. We're moving into a zone that most men completely misinterpret. Not because they're careless, but because they've been taught to look at attraction in a very linear, almost mechanical way. But attraction isn't linear. It's layered, emotional, and deeply instinctive. Let's talk about the waist and lower back. This is what I call the instinctive test zone. Here's why it matters so much. This is one of the first areas where a woman cannot fully see your movement. When you initiate touch, when you place your hand lightly on her lower back while guiding her through a door, or when you stand close and there's subtle contact at her waist, her reaction is almost entirely subconscious. She doesn't have time to analyze it. She feels it. And in that split second, her body answers one question. Do I feel safe with him being this close to me without full control or visibility? That's a powerful psychological moment. If she stiffens, shifts away, or repositions herself quickly, that's not rejection in a harsh sense. It's information. Her nervous system is saying, not yet, or something doesn't feel aligned. Mastit. But if she stays relaxed, if she leans slightly into you, if her body doesn't resist that proximity, that's trust beginning to form on a deeper level. And I want you to notice something here. This isn't about dominance. It's not about asserting control. It's about how your presence feels when you enter her space. There's a difference. A man who is grounded, calm, and emotionally present can place his hand on a woman's lower back, and it feels natural, even comforting. A man who is uncertain, trying to impress, or seeking validation can do the exact same thing, and it feels invasive. Same action, completely different emotional impact. And women feel that difference instantly. Let me share a quick real-life scenario to make this clearer. A woman once described 2 different dates she went on. With the first man, everything looked good on paper, confident, well-dressed, saying the right things. But when he touched her lower back while walking into a restaurant, she felt a subtle tension. She couldn't explain it logically, but her body didn't relax. With the second man, there was less performance, less trying, but when he did the same gesture, she didn't even think about it. Her body stayed soft. She felt at ease. And later, she said something really telling. With one, I felt handled. With the other, I felt safe. That's the difference you need to understand. Now, let's move into an even deeper layer, the neck and the face. Wariosan oslau was sagt. Make no mistake, this is sacred territory. Biologically, the neck is one of the most vulnerable parts of the human body. It protects vital pathways, your pulse, your breath, your life. So, when someone allows touch there, it's not casual. It's deeply instinctual trust. And the face is identity. It's how we present ourselves to the world. It's where emotion is most visible and most protected. So, if a woman allows you to touch her face, brush something away, hold her gently there, you are no longer in a casual interaction. In this moment, you're in emotional proximity. But here's the nuance that most people miss. It's not just about whether the touch happens. It's about how she receives it. Does she soften? Does her eye contact deepen? Does she pause even briefly as if the moment slows down? Or does she pull back even subtly? Because again, her body will tell you the truth before her words ever do. Now, at this point, you might be starting to see the pattern. Each level we move through isn't about increasing physical contact. It's about increasing emotional permission. And that permission cannot be forced, rushed, or manufactured. It has to be felt by her. And here's something I want you to really sit with for a moment. A woman doesn't open up like this because of what you do. She opens up because of how she feels around you. That's why some men can follow every rule they've learned online and still feel like nothing works, while others seem to move effortlessly through these levels without even trying. It's not technique, it's presence. Now, we're about to move into the final level. The one that ties everything together. The one that reveals more than words, more than actions, more than anything else we've talked about so far. But before we go there, I want to bring you into something more personal. Think about the last time you felt genuinely connected to someone. Not just attracted, but comfortable, seen, at ease. What created that feeling? Was it something they said, or was it how you felt in their presence? That sense of ease of not needing to perform, of just being able to exist without tension. That's exactly what a woman is searching for when she allows deeper levels of closeness. And if you can create that space, not perfectly, but genuinely, you don't need to chase signals. They come to you. Now, here's a small but powerful exercise I want you to try. The next time you're with a woman, instead of focusing on impressing her, shift your attention to grounding yourself. Slow your breathing slightly. Relax your shoulders. Be fully present in the moment instead of thinking ahead. And then notice what happens. Because when you regulate your own nervous system, you influence hers. Calm creates calm. Presence creates safety. And safety is the foundation of attraction that actually lasts. If this is starting to click for you, take a second and drop a comment below. Something simple like, "I get it now," or "This makes sense." I read those, and it also helps this reach more people who need to hear it. And if you've ever misunderstood a signal before, and let's be honest, we all have, this is your chance to start seeing things differently. Now, let's talk about the final level. The one area that acts like a truth detector. The one signal that when it happens, naturally tells you more than anything else we've discussed. Because when a woman allows this, it's no longer just about trust. It's something deeper, something instinctive, something she doesn't even consciously decide. And once you understand this, you'll never second-guess her feelings in the same way again. Now, we arrive at the final level, the one that quietly reveals everything, the hair. And I know at first that might not sound as significant as everything we've built up to, but this is exactly why most men overlook it and completely miss what it actually means. Hair isn't just physical, it's emotional, it's symbolic, it's deeply personal. For most women, their hair is tied to identity, femininity, self-expression, even control. It's something they adjust when they're nervous, play with when they're flirting, fix when they want to feel more composed. It's one of the few parts of the body that is constantly being managed, touched, and protected by them. So, when a woman allows someone else into that space, it's not random, it's revealing. But let's slow this down because this is where nuance matters more than ever. It's not about you reaching for her hair. It's about her allowing it, and more importantly, how she responds in that moment. Because this isn't a conscious decision she's making. This is her nervous system speaking. If your hand moves gently, naturally, maybe brushing a strand away, maybe your fingers lightly passing through and she leans into it. If her head tilts slightly without her thinking, if her eyes soften or even close for a brief second, if there's a small, unfiltered smile that appears without effort, that's not performance. That's not politeness. That's a full-body response. That is what we call emotional safety, meaning physical comfort at the same time. And when those two align, something powerful happens. Her guard drops without her needing to decide to drop it. Now, let me be very clear about something, because this is where people misunderstand and misuse information like this. This is not a move. This is not something you try to make happen, because the moment it becomes forced, intentional in the wrong way, or driven by an outcome, it loses everything that makes it real. And she will feel that immediately. Remember what we talked about earlier. Women don't just feel the touch, they feel the intention behind it. So if that intention is impatience, neediness, or trying to get somewhere, her body will close off just as quickly as it opened. But when it happens naturally, when the connection has already been built, when the trust is there, when your presence feels grounded and safe, this moment doesn't feel like escalation. It feels like a continuation. And that's the difference between attraction that flows and attraction that collapses. Let me share something that really captures this. A woman once explained a moment she had on a quiet evening walk. There was no big setup, no dramatic flirting, just conversation, laughter, and a sense of ease. At one point, a strand of her hair fell across her face, and the man she was with gently moved it aside. She said what stood out wasn't the action itself, it was how it felt. There was no hesitation, no awkwardness. She said it felt natural, like he was already close to me even before he touched me. That's what you're aiming to understand. Not how to do something, but how to create the kind of presence where moments like that happen without effort.